Hey guys, Tony, KD8RTT. Today I'm going to do a video review on my SuperAntenna MP-1. Now let me start by saying this is the slightly older model. They've since changed it a bit. As far as I know, the major changes are they sell this with instead of a collapsible telescopic whip, they now have a very bendable whip you can coil up. But it's the same function. I believe it's the same size. They've also changed it where it came with this paper measuring guide, which I laminated. Now they have a plastic measuring guide that comes with it. And I believe it comes with a clamp and a case, which is, I didn't get that. So that's kind of what's different with the new model. But the operation should be fairly similar, as I understand. So anyways, let me get into it. This antenna is a center-loaded vertical antenna. It has this nice adjustable coil on it that you set the frequency with. You use, like I said, this paper guide, which has this nice measurement guide to basically set the frequency. And you might have to tweak it a little bit from, looking at the radio's SWR. This antenna will work from, as is, from 40 meters all the way up to 70 centimeters. But you can purchase, let's see if I get this in here. There's these two coils, one for 80, one for 60 meters. Which will let you get on those bands. Now, I don't have either of those, and frankly, in my opinion, 40 meters is pushing it in terms of efficiency that it's worth it. So I don't know how much, how valuable those are. I've used this on, I think, just about every band it supports, except for 2 meters and 440, because it's nothing special there. But 40 is tough. Now, you can get on the air. It definitely tunes up, but it's a big compromise there. Use this a lot on 20 meters, and worked fairly well for me. The setup is really simple. You've got these two rods. This one goes into that one. One end goes into your base. I used a like a CB antenna base. This is the standard 3/8 24 thread, so it fits in a lot of stuff. And then the other side goes into screws in the bottom of the antenna. And then your whip goes into the top of the antenna, and you extend that. And yeah, like I said, I use this there's a lot of different bases that'll work. One thing to note is that you can use this in like magnetic bases, which I've done, but you cannot use this while you're driving. It is not advertised or made to be used while mobile. I think it would break. It's kind of big, definitely not suitable to use mobile, but I've used it parked. I had a mag mount on my car, and I was parked and used this, so that's an option. So I won't get too much into different mounting options. There's a ton of different ones. They sell a tripod, SuperAntenna does, that seems fairly nice. It's kind of expensive, I think, but it looks like it does the job well, and I haven't seen anything very similar to it. I've used a camera tripod before, and that works fairly well. But anyways, so that's the basic setup. Very easy to get on the air. You'll also need radials. I typically took two wires that were quarter wave on 40 meters, clipped them to the ground of the mount, and laid them out. And I used those for all bands, and I was able to tune up no problem. They sell radials. I just made my own out of wire. And of course, the more radials, the better in terms of efficiency, but I used two, and it was pretty good. Now, my personal use case of this antenna was for portable operations. But with a 100-watt rig. I was using this with my FT450D, and it worked fairly well for that. I'd take it out to the park or something and very quickly get on the air. Now, it is a compromise, obviously, but, with the 100-watt rig, it was definitely manageable. You weren't busting through any big pileups, but I made plenty of contacts. I worked all 13 colonies, for instance, with this antenna. On the 4th of July for that annual event, or that weekend, I should say. I even did it where this antenna was inside on the first floor of a hotel room. And I used this in an apartment, inside. I made contacts. Was it super easy? No. Was I, making tons of contacts? No, but I was on the air. So this can definitely get you on the air. That said, it is, like I said, a huge compromise. It's, understand that going into it. This is not going to outperform, bigger antennas for that band. Just keep that in mind. So that was my use case, though. It was with the 100-watt rig. And it worked really well for me, and I've been a pretty big proponent of this. If you look at all my old YouTube videos, I've used it quite a bit, and I've raved about it for the most part, but I never made a review, so I thought I should do that now. Now, yeah, so it worked well, but there are a couple downsides in my opinion. The biggest is this screw. Now, the quality of this overall is fairly good. You've got a telescopic whip, which you could break, but you know, it's not that big of an issue if you take care of it. And the other pieces are pretty solid, machined metal, no issues. This piece, it actually comes with, you can see it, a little screw like that. And it's a nylon screw that goes in there and is used, once you set the antenna, you tighten it down and it holds it in place. Now, frankly, you don't, in my experience, you don't really even need it. It holds its shape pretty well as is without it, but it's a good idea, definitely. I heard lots of people saying that they broke or lost it, so I tried to be really careful with mine. And for, I don't know, a year or two, I was fine. I had this thing stored in a little pouch I made, never an issue. Until one day I took it out and it was broken. It broke off, you know, part way through it. So I had to dig out the little piece and then look for a replacement. Now, SuperAntenna does sell one for 20 bucks. For just one, $20, which I thought was crazy. I made a video, I'll link that down below, where I kind of go over that. I basically found a replacement from Lowe's, and it works. But the fact that they charge so much for that replacement is really crappy in my opinion, and there might be a better way that they could design this. I understand why this is tough, why it needs to be nylon, but maybe there's a better way to design it. In any case, that's a big con. That is the biggest con, frankly. So, yeah, I mean, otherwise, I like it a lot. It works really well for 100 watts, in my opinion. There's a lot of comparable antenna systems out there. The Buddy Pole is the obvious one. And they're all these loaded, you know, vertical, well, yeah, verticals, or you can orient it kind of differently, too. And there's a lot of options, and it's hard to really argue between them. In terms of price, when I purchased this, I believe I got it on clearance before they started selling the new model, so I got this really cheap. I think, if I recall correctly, I got this for 80 bucks, which, total steal for that price. Absolutely no regrets. Even with this, no regrets at all. Now I think it sells for around 220 bucks, although it comes with like a case, a clamp. They don't give you this paper guide, they give you like a plastic one. So, it's you know, obviously more than I paid. Now, is it worth, you know, the price they're asking right now? I think so. I think it is worth the money. You know, of course, there are some downsides, or really just one, in my experience. But that's the thing. The other thing I do want to mention, I'm actually probably going to be getting rid of this. Now, that is because my use case has changed. Like I said, I had typically been using this for 100 watts, single sideband, some digital, 50 watts-ish, and it worked pretty well for me there. I've since gotten more into QRP portable operation, so I'm not using my 100-watt radio portably. I've tried using this with 5 watts and 10 watts, and it's been almost unusable on sideband and digital. Well, I should say sideband. I haven't done a whole lot with digital with it. It's just really tough. You know, if you make a contact, sure. I've made a couple contacts on 5 watts with this antenna. One of them I was at the beach with the radials in the ocean, for whatever that's worth. But the other times I've used this, especially for soda, it's just not performed well for me on QRP. Now, that's understandable. You know, it is a compromised antenna. I'm not shocked. I'm not using that against the company that makes it because, you know, that's just part of playing QRP. So, yeah, I'm probably going to sell it. But not because it doesn't live up to what it's advertised. Let me put it that way. I wouldn't recommend this for QRP, though. Certainly not. I mean, if you're QRP, you got to put as much as you can into your antenna. And I'm going with long wires now, you know, vertical wires or random wires, just because it performs better. So I wanted to make that note. So yeah, overall, that's my thoughts on this antenna. It's good. I think it's worth the money. It works fairly well at 100 watts in my experience. Understand it's a compromise. No, you're not going to bust through major pileups, but it will definitely get you on the air. It's fairly good quality other than one thing. So check it out. I'll put a link down. SuperAntenna actually sells their stuff through Amazon. That's their storefront. So I'll put a link down to their products or something down below, and like I said, to my old video on this antenna. But yeah, so I want to do a video showing off the SuperAntenna. Hope you guys like it. Let me know if you have any questions. Give me a comment or something. Shoot me a message. Tweet me, whatever. And remember to like, subscribe, and follow me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @KD8RTT. So, all right, guys. See you later. 73.